Okay, Mark, thank you very much for that. Now, you're going to take us on, I think, to do with matters to do with borders down in Texas. We've got two little film clips here, which we're going to play on screen. There's no sound. Are you happy? One of them shows some men climbing over a wall, and the other is a line of men. The wall one, I think, is the first one. Is that correct?
Yeah, I believe so. These are videos, and I'm describing it, of illegals entering people's private homes who live at or near the border, the Texas border with Mexico. And this is a very common occurrence. This is not an uncommon thing. There's another video clip among many that I've gotten, and these are all firsthand videos. These don't come from other news sources. These come directly from people I know on the border, or people that know people I know on the border. And it's security cameras or it's their own phones. And there's lots of things that I'm receiving that never see the light of day in other alternative media or the mass media cartel, the conventional media. And so the situation is much more porous. The border is much more porous than Governor Greg Abbott of Texas is letting on, even though he doesn't downplay it too much. The other video that didn't happen to get shown today, we just showed the two that the black and white videos from security cameras where illegals are entering people's private properties unmolested. But another video shows a produce farmer. She grows fruit in a large scale area near the border out in the greater Eagle Pass area. And that video that I watched just yesterday, she's saying that 100, 150, 200, 300 illegals are crossing into her land every day and being loaded onto buses by the Border Patrol, processed oftentimes through private charity NGOs, and then they're sent inland and released into the United States, contrary to the claims of Governor Abbott. And I think you want to show something about Texas border deaths probably in a moment. But the main story here is that Governor Abbott is saying that under Operation Lone Star, they're really getting serious, and that they're largely deporting, apprehending, and sending back and repelling those coming across the border. But two ranchers that I spoke with and another private ranch hand who prefers to be anonymous, they all told me in exclusive interviews that Governor Abbott's Operation Lone Star, in their view, is a fraud. It's a major deception. They're scooping up the illegals who are crossing the border. They're processing them and giving them their itinerary, sometimes expensive plane tickets and/or expensive bus tickets. Uber rides are even included, and they're sending them inland under the vain hope that they'll show up for their court hearings later. And so that's the major dichotomy here, is that Abbott's saying he's got this thing, at least virtually under control, or he's getting close to the point where he's got things under control. But the ranchers I talked to, including Mr. Blair and Mr. Wright, I'll just use their last names for now. They're telling me that the numbers are huge in terms of who's coming across the border. They are working with Jaco Booyens. He's a South African filmmaker. His last name is Booyens, Jaco Booyens. I believe that's how you say it. This South African filmmaker is documenting the large hordes of people coming across the border, and also documenting with firsthand observations that the DPS, the Texas State Police, and the Border Patrol and other elements of the state and federal government, especially the state government, are acting as almost like tour guides. They're basically helping them get ashore out of the Rio Grande River, cleaning them up, taking their belts and shoelaces temporarily. They kind of strip them down a bit. They put all their belongings in plastic bags. Then they're taken to the Border Patrol stations and the private charities, and they're given their stuff back. They all are, they either have or are given working cell phones, and then they're given their travel itinerary and escorted into buses and other transportation arrangements and allowed to enter the United States interior. And so these are very strong allegations that Governor Abbott is being accused of virtual treason. At the very least, he's being accused of a large betrayal in saying that he's repelling and deporting a lot of these people and apprehending them. But what these ranchers are saying is far from that being true. They're saying that the illegals are being released inland, far contrary to Abbott's claims.
Okay,
So,
Mark. Let's move on then to the issue of deaths. What's the scale of deaths as people come over the border?
Well, the two ranchers I've talked to, who are not the only ones I've spoken to over the last few months, but the two I just talked to the other day, they find dead bodies on their ranches or neighboring ranches, because a lot of them work together on a fairly regular basis. But there are also children that die, some of them stillbirths, pregnant women trying to come over the border. They often do. Or toddlers and things like that. They die from exposure, from the hot weather, from lack of food or drink, or whatever the case might be. And I believe you had a video of that one that you wanted to show, unless you want to show a still frame.
No, we're gonna play a few seconds of this. Let's have a listen.
This past year, in this past year.
You know, this
past year was.
This kind of brings to light how terrible this whole situation is. It's all like a bad dream. You keep thinking that you're going to wake up, and none of this is going to be how things really are. It's going to be normal. You know, these signs on these crosses. You know, Baby Jane Doe, Baby John Doe. You know, I mean, makes you sick. And then we find out how they're buried.
That's tragic stuff, Mark, and it's obvious that this policy is not just a policy for the US. Many people in our chat box today commenting that the same thing is happening in England, in Ireland, in many other countries. So this is clearly a globalist policy which is causing this mass migration and the breakdown of nation states.
Yeah, let me comment on that, Brian. I appreciate what you're saying, and I do want to look at what other countries are doing for an article I'm planning, and what they're experiencing. But one of the ranchers, Mr. Wright, he came out and said that he thinks this is part of, and this is just his opinion, I'm not saying it's true, I'm not saying it's false, he believes Governor Abbott is still under orders of the Bush family. Even though Old Man Bush passed away in 2019, you know, you recall that Old Man Bush, George H.W., was a New England import into Texas, and then the media characterized him as a true Texan. He's got Texas in his heart. But according to this rancher, Mr. Wright, Randy Wright is his full name. He doesn't mind me saying that. He owns about 300 and some acres on the border. According to Mr. Wright, he believes that the Bush family, that power structure that's embedded, especially in College Station, Texas, which is where Texas A&M is, that's closely associated, that university, with the Bush family. He believes that controlling element of the Bush family still has sway over the governor's office, and that Abbott is answering to that power structure, which this rancher even connected to the Rothschilds, in his view, that dynasty, that old line dynasty that is pushing globalism and has for a very long time, and that Texas is under globalist orders not to arrest the illegal invasion, to basically let it happen, but put on a good show under Operation Lone Star, and, you know, fake right and go left, you might say, or fake nationalist and go internationalist. And this is the rancher's view on the situation, and the collateral damage is children, and that those were graves of children. That was filmed by a very close contact of mine, with whom I met in person just the other day when he got back from making that video. So yeah, it's a very serious situation with very serious allegations being leveled at Governor Abbott. So I'll be keeping a very close eye on this over the next several months.
Thanks, Mark. Thank you very